Good morning, everybody, and happy Sunday. I thought I'd come on and finish up this insert we started. Let me adjust my camera a little bit, my phone. I've been really busy. I wanted to get on and do this a lot sooner than today, but like I said, I've been really busy. So I want to go ahead and get this finished up. What we're going to work on today is, excuse me, the interchangeable tailgate along with the license plates. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I want to put this on my white truck that I did a few weeks back. And the color I used on that truck was actually warm white. So I know I want to make this warm white. And then I'm going to go back and probably do red lettering with some blue stars. So I'm just going to take this makeup sponge and just dab on the paint, being careful not to go over the sides on the edges. If you do, though, you can go ahead and it's correctable. Now I'm going to be really careful around this lettering because it is engraved. And I don't want to get any paint in there. So I might just take a smaller brush and just take my time putting paint around that engraving. I hope everybody had a nice 4th of July. Lots of fireworks being shot off around where I live. Lots. You don't need to go to a park and watch them, because I'm telling you what, the fireworks these people had, wow. And I'm sure they'll be shooting them off again tonight. I mean, crazy. And it's going to be another warm one today, so I wanted to get on here early. Temperatures are going to be high. Excuse me a second. I seem to be freezing for some reason. I don't know. But the temperatures are going to be high today. But the humidity is supposed to be lower. It's been nice and cool in the evenings. Personally, I could go for 70s every day. With mid to low 60s at night, maybe even in the 50s. To me, that's ideal weather. Let's see if I have a smaller sponge that I can get up close. The reason why I'm going to use a paintbrush around these letters, if you happen to get paint in that engraving area, it just takes away the look. Just my personal opinion. So I personally rather just take the extra time and paint around them. And it might be kind of tough because there is, you know, you do cut this and engrave it with a laser. There's some burning that goes on. That's just something you can't avoid. So I just rather take the extra time and go around it. But that's just me. Because I find once you get paint into the engraving area, it's hard to get it out. And I really just don't want to ruin the look of that, but that's just me. I just have a tendency to do this like this, period. I did an engraved license plates for my Spook Troop, and even though I was painting it in orange, I just took the time and went around with the paintbrush. You can use a sponge if you want. You know, that has to be your personal preference. I just prefer... I mean, I put all this effort in it. I would hate to get paint in there and then just kind of ruin the look, but that's just me. And I'm just trying to get a little, you know, just some type of coat of paint on here. I'm not really going to try and fuss all that much. At least that's my goal. But I do have a tendency to fuss. I'm just kind of a meticulous painter. But now I'm using warm white, if I didn't say. And, you know, my experience with any color of white, it's just tough to get a good coverage. You have to go over it several times. That's just the nature of the beast. And then I did shade my truck with gray, so I am going to go and shade around the outside of this with, I think I use sky gray. I'll have to look. I use DecoArt Americana paints. I mean, 99% of the time, it's very rare that I stray from those particular paints. I just like them. They have a wide variety of color. And it's just, their paints are really nice. They're reasonably priced. And I've just always gotten really good results. So... I have tried other brands. I haven't been, I wasn't pleased like I am with these, so. So the saying is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If I can just get good coverage around these letters, then I can, then finish this quite quickly. There's like a bubble right there in that paint, and when I touched it, it kind of wiped off. So I'll wait for that paint to dry in that area and go back up and touch it up. Even though they said it's not supposed to be that humid, it's pretty humid up in this room. Been working on a few designs. I'm almost done with the one. I'm actually going to do a test cut probably later today to see how it is going to work. I kind of want to give 2 different types of options regarding it. It's going to be a Christmas design. Featuring, you know, the Christmas bulbs. But I personally, and this is just me, good morning. I like to cut the bulbs out individually and then weave wire through them. And then I did that on the back of my Merry Christmas truck. And then I just kind of weaved them through the back part of the truck. And then that way, you know, it's removable. But I've seen other people do strings of Christmas lights and then just, you know, have them cut out. And then you just paint them and then you glue them to your surface. So I'm going to try and do both options, make them both available with the file. That way you can choose which option you prefer. So I really like just doing the wire, stringing the wire through them, but that's just me. I just kind of like the look. Now there is a product called Liquid Glass. I have that. I don't know if I'll use that when it comes time to painting it. I'm hoping that I'm able to get that done and finish that. Maybe I can start working on that next week. We'll see. Like I said, I've been really, really busy. Good morning, honey. How is the sound in the picture? Is it breaking up at all? I've had a lot of issues with the internet. But I think I might have that situation resolved. It's perfect. All right, wonderful. Thank you, honey. I'm hoping that I've got it resolved. Technology can be a funny thing. But I know a few of my videos that I've done, my voice was just cutting in and out something terrible. And that had everything. All right, sweetie, be careful. It had everything to do with the internet, Wi-Fi, ay, ay, ay. But after some changes and doing some research, I think I got it resolved. So you are going to find a few videos on my page that the audio is not that great, and I do apologize. There's nothing I can do about it now, but I'm thinking I've got everything resolved moving forward. I thought I had too much water on my brush. A lot of fireworks, like I said. My husband and I don't need to go leave our home to watch fireworks. I mean, we could sit in our yard and look to the west, and oh my gosh, there was like 3 different people setting off fireworks. I mean, and the kind that you see, you know, you go and see, it's crazy what people have. And now that they're legal, they're just everywhere. I'd have to say, I think there was more people shooting off fireworks last night than the 4th of July. It was kind of a little bit, it rained a little bit here, and kind of damp. Even Friday was a little bit, good morning, a little bit rainy, but yeah, a lot of people shooting them off last night, more so than on the 4th. It'll be interesting to see how many people are still shooting them off tonight. And there's always a house that does fireworks every year, does a big party. And my goodness, she had some fireworks last night. Actually, my cousins do fireworks. They manufacture them and have done it. Boy, oh boy. 50 plus years. And they make some real nice ones, and they put on the shows. There's a lot that goes into that. I don't think people realize it. And unfortunately, it's very, very dangerous. Good morning. I just want to try and get a pretty decent coverage around these letters. Yeah, they are a little bit blotchy. Try and cover up that, the burning from the laser. And my bird Snickers is on a roll again this morning. I'll tell you what, that bird has been so talkative these past few weeks. Good morning. She's just down there chatting away. One of these days I'll have to see about bringing her up while I do a live. I mean, she'll sit on my shoulder. But she might want to jump down and grab my paintbrushes and Lord knows what else. Birds are very inquisitive, at least she is. But she is smart and very talkative, very entertaining. She can mimic. What can she mimic? She talks in my voice. Her bestie is Alexa, and she's got Alexa fooled. It's kind of comical. The other day she was coughing, and oh my gosh, she sounded just like my husband. It was crazy. I need to find me some new liner brushes. It's hard. I mean, it is, at least for me. I don't know about others, but It's hard to keep liner brushes in good working order. I take very good care of my brushes and clean them and try and store them, but my liner brushes always seem to get frayed at the end. I have no idea why. I would love to know what the secret is. So anybody watching or gonna watch this after the fact, if you have any tips on that, please post your comments. I would love to know. I mean, this here isn't really a liner brush. But I can tell where the ends are starting to spread out. She's just down there saying everything she knows. Everything. I don't know if you guys can hear her. She's downstairs. I'm upstairs. Sometimes I can hear her when I play back the video. I can hear her in the background. And because I'm so accustomed to, I know what she's saying. I can hear it clear as day. But I don't know if you folks can. But she is just something else today. What she chooses to learn is amazing. I mean, I can teach her to say anything by just repeating it over and over and over again, and she will learn something. But out of everything that we say on a daily basis here, it's funny what she chooses to learn. She's on a thank you roll down there. And if you haven't watched my videos before, the name of my bird is Snickers. She's a Congo African gray parrot. She might be between 10 and 12 inches tall. She's different shades of gray with a lighter gray being on her face. And then she's got a red tail. She's the perfect bird if you're a resident of Ohio State and you're Ohio State's Buckeyes fan. We call her the Buckeye bird. At one time, she did say, go Buckeyes, beat Michigan. That I did teach her. We are huge Buckeyes fans. I'm a Steelers fan. My husband's a Browns fan. So I did teach her to say, you know, go Steelers, beat the Browns. But she chooses to remember what she wants to remember. You know, she'll learn what she wants to learn. And she'll remember what she wants to. I think it's whatever interests her the most. From what I've read, I guess diction, when you're speaking, will influence her learning things. So if you emphasize certain syllables, she's more inclined to pick up that word or phrase. And I have to say that's true from whatever she's learned. So my husband is making his famous ribs today. Better than any restaurant. Fall off the bone, melt in your mouth. They are delicious. I was kind of surprised. My dog does not like thunderstorms. She never used to be that way until just the past few years. So the only thing I can think of is while my husband and I were at work, we had a bad thunderstorm and lightning struck close by, and it scared her. Because she freaks out with thunder and lightning. But she was okay with the fireworks. I was kind of surprised. The outdoor cats, they didn't like it. It's kind of funny how that works out. of course, you have your abundance of posts about animals running away and being scared. Good morning. I know Grizz doesn't even like the fireworks. He goes in his box. He does not like the fireworks. He doesn't really, I mean, thunderstorms are okay. But if it gets really, really bad, he will go in his box. But he's in a kennel, so he can't run away. The sad thing is he's kind of skittish as it is. So he was just a stray I brought home from work many years ago. And he's a good dog. Very good watchdog. We kind of think he was abused, which is sad, because he is a good dog. But somebody really did a number on him, because we've had him for quite some time. And, I mean, he trusts us, but he doesn't trust us. So somebody did a number on him. And that's sad. I don't understand the whole abusing animals. That's just something my husband and I can't do. I mean, we end up with strays, a ton of them, because we live on a farm and, well, take your animals to the farm, drop them off. And they either stay or they take off, you know, but we feed them. We won't let an animal go hungry. That's just not the type of people we are, and we have lots of shelter for them, and of course there's always the barn that they can go in. And they come and go, but I just, I have zero tolerance for animal abuse, and I just don't understand it. All right, I think I'm about done with around this lettering. Just try and darken up and clean up a few areas, and whoa, that's too much paint. And call it good. So, And this kind of dried up. So what I'm going to do is just take my scissors and cut off the end to get a fresh end for my paint. Just try and go back over this. Get everything kind of darkened up. I have a tendency, I put more paint on when in the middle of whatever it is that I'm painting, and then I work it out to the edges. It's like a fuzzy or something. And then I just try and work it out to the edges by pushing the paint out there, which thins it, and then just lightly pressing. Trying not to get it over on the edges, on the sides. I mean, if you do, you can use, I call them wet wipes. People call them Clorox wipes. Whatever term you want to use. You can take and wipe them off. Also, people have used paint pens, magic markers to go around the edges, you know, with a darker color. Something else I'll do, if you can, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but like I'm going towards the ends, but I have my brush kind of tilted this way. It's kind of hard to see. I'm seeing that. But that kind of too prevents paint from going over the edge, getting on the sides. So that's something else I do. And then I will have to probably go around that lettering because I am seeing where I could use a little bit more paint. But I like to do whenever I do anything, I like to do it in, you know, thin layers. I don't put a whole lot of paint on from the beginning. And the reason being, and this is just me, you know, you have a tendency, you can see brush strokes from too much paint. So I just like to build, whether it's, you know, base coating, shading, highlighting. I just like to build. That's just my personal preference. It may take me longer, and it does take me longer to paint than others. But that's just me. That's how I like to do things. So. Too much water. Don't know if you can see that. It's one thing I don't like about this brush because the ferrule, you know, it's so low on the bristles that when you dip it in to get water or to rinse it off, you've got to take your finger and wipe off the ferrule because the water starts to drip down and will get on your surface. But other than that, I mean, I really like this brush. I would buy it again. Sad thing is, they're always changing style of brushes. So what you like today might not be there tomorrow. So if you find a brush that you like, you might want to buy a couple. Because like I said, it might not be there tomorrow. There's a few brushes I like and, well, they're no longer available. I'm just trying to go back and darken this up a little bit because you can definitely see that around these letters is a little bit lighter. And I feel, and this is just me, when you have such a difference like that, your eyes will be drawn to that instead of the overall picture. At least for me, you know, I will focus on something like that. That'll just stand out to me. And two, because I'm not putting really thick coats of paint on, you know, I'm doing this in light layers. It's just taking a little bit longer. Because like I said, white does not cover very well. Yeah, it's just kind of blotchy, and I don't like blotchy looking paint. And that's just from not getting good coverage. You can get blotchy paint just using the sponge. Now, I think if you're going for a distressed look, that would be okay. But I'm just going to go around this a little bit more. Go back over that G because that's pretty bad in the O, and I'm calling it good. So my husband and I went back out to the Circle restaurant. I believe it was Thursday. And got the different type of fish dinner. The battered instead of the whaler, which was like a breaded and then deep fried. I mean, that wasn't bad, but it wasn't our cup of tea. Oh, I'm here to tell you, their battered fish is good. Their coleslaw is amazing. And their tartar sauce, wow. Just as good. You have to have good tartar sauce with fish. You just have to. So if you're looking for a place that serves really good fish, I recommend going to the Circle restaurant. And plus, too, we like to go out there and have breakfast. And they got a nice breakfast menu, and their breakfast is really good. That place is busy all the time. They have really good food. And they're just in a really good location. They've been there for quite some time, but that guy's got a gold mine. And I hear they have really good chicken. So they have specials, I think, on Wednesday with the chicken. So maybe that's something my husband and I are going to do. Then you can get buckets of chicken or fish to go. It comes with, I think, JoJo's or French fries. And their coleslaw, and I'm here to tell you, their coleslaw is good. My husband and I like a creamy coleslaw. And this is just Really, really good. Very creamy. Very flavorful. Just, good morning. Just really, they have really, really good food. Really good desserts. And their wait staff is just really, really nice. We always have Lisa wait on us. Very nice lady. Hard worker. Very attentive. Works very, very hard. So I think we got this about coated. I'll have to let it dry a little bit, and then we're going to shade around it. I think I used sand gray is what I used. So I'm just going to go around it lightly with sand gray. That way it matches the shading on the truck. I knew I wanted to put this on my white truck. So I just think the colors will pop off of it. So, while that's drying, I'll go ahead and paint the flag. This is going to be the license plates. I'm going to use, when I did the whites before, and it's not really white, whoops. The other flag and the hat, I did a color called light buttermilk. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick with that. I think I already have my stars painted for this. From last week. Even the light buttermilk is kind of, it's on the same lines of as a white. So it is going to take a few coats. Good morning. Even though I call this, this is kind of, I put July 4th in my description. This really can be sat out all year round if you're into Americana. If you decorate your house Americana, it's very patriotic, and if that's something you're into, you could leave this out all year round if you wanted. You don't have to be just specific for the 4th of July, but it can be used for the 4th of July. I don't reference the 4th of July. That way you have the option that, if you want to leave it out all year round, you're into Americana. You can do that. See, there's not much difference. It's just a little bit creamier. Not a whole lot. I will use light buttermilk for, like, if I'm doing a winter scene and doing snow. I prefer to use a light buttermilk because I'm kind of going for a country feel when I'm painting. And the light buttermilk just kind of gravitates in that direction. And this would be a good color to use if you kind of want to do like a whitewash. I actually, Decor makes a color called whitewash. And I used it when I painted my mummy, thinking it would be somewhat translucent. That whitewash paint is actually thicker than this paint. It was a little bizarre. I don't know why they call it whitewash because, I mean, if I just water this down, it's, it gives a whitewash. I mean, I don't know if you can see, right in here, it's not, I need to put another coat on there because it's thinned down, but you would have to really, really water that particular paint down to make it a whitewash. Just my opinion. Can't believe we're halfway through the year already. This year went by really, really fast. Where does the time go? It'll be Christmas before we know it. I have some really cute Christmas ornaments that I'm starting to design, but I don't know if I'll, get them done in time to release them for people to make them. I have just a few, and they're really cute, but, for me, I got to make sure the file is just right before I release it. Also, too, I register all my designs with the Copyright Office. And I like to have them painted, and I paint all my own stuff. So when you go to my Etsy shop and see my listings, those are everything that I painted. I don't have someone that paints for me, so it takes a long time to get everything together because I also work a full-time job. So I do this, on the weekends and, when I get home from work. So my time is very limited. I'm hoping here by next year I'm able to dedicate more time. I don't know if you saw that, but the water just dripped off my brush. Like I said, when you dip your brush in there, you get a little bit of water, and it rolls down your ferrule. And I did get too close, and I got some paint in my score line. Now, I know it's hard to tell on camera, because you're probably thinking, why does she keep painting over this? It looks good. Believe it or not, it's blotchy. And you can't really see that. So I just like to make sure I have great coverage when I'm base coating. Good morning. Like I said, the color I'm using is light buttermilk instead of your basic white. Reason being is I'm just going for a more country, rustic feel. This is the color I used when I painted my flag and did all the areas that would have been white on my other one. I just prefer light buttermilk over white. I really don't use white all that much. I don't use it all that much. It's very rare that I use that titanium white. I just really like this light buttermilk. It has just enough difference as far as I'm concerned from the white. But it's just not too far off. I mean, this is what they call warm white. This is called warm white, and this is a light buttermilk. I don't know if you can tell the difference in the camera. You know, personally, if it was me, I would maybe call this warm white, but I mean, that warm white to me just, it looks like the other white. It might be a titch not as bright, but it seems pretty white to me. All right. Let's see about doing a little bit of shading on this. And like I said, I'm going to use sand gray. I like to shade with a flat brush. That's just me. I see the lighting's not that bright. It's on camera. That's kind of bizarre because it's really, really light. I'm trying to move my light around. I just kind of noticed that. I mean, the sun is shining right in my window, even though I have the blinds. So that might have something to do with it, but yeah. Anyhow, I like to use a flat shader brush. That's actually too much paint, but I'm going to take it over to my paper palette and just blend it really, really good. And I like to go down one side and I just kind of like tap at it just to get the paint on, and then I'll come back and just do a straight full swoop. I don't sit there and try and how do I want to say this, just shade like this, okay, and try and get all the shading on there. Personally, I think that's stressful. So I just rather pat and then go back. And if I have to reload my brush, so be it. Don't try and stress yourself out and try and cover a whole large area. It's not necessary. Like I said, I like to build. So you probably can hardly see that. I might get a bigger brush because I kind of want a wider float. So I'm going to try a bigger brush. And you always want to let it dry and be in between going back over it. Because if it's not dry, it will take off the paint that you just put down. So allow your highlighting and shading to dry. I see actually I started running out of paint there towards the end. Like I said, I'm just kind of patting at it. And then I'm going to go back and just kind of smooth it out. And I need to wait to do these sides here until these sides are completely dry. And here's the reason being, like I said, if they're wet, it's going to take off the paint. So you want to just wait. I know I want a little bit darker shading. Hopefully you're able to see what I'm doing. I kind of just like to hold it in my hand. And I have my camera zoomed in pretty good, so just so you can have an up-close look at what I'm doing. So you might not be able to see the whole piece as I'm shading it. I apologize for that, but I think this is probably the last coat I'll put on these sides. I don't want it too dark. I kind of want it on the same darkness as my truck. I don't want it to stand out too much. And I know my shading is pretty minimal. So I'll let that dry and I'll go back and go over the other sides. All right, what I want to do is I'm going to shade this with Antique White. What I'm going to do is shade on the inside here and here and here. And my Antique White has moved. There it is. I just like shading with the Antique White. It just kind of gives it a little bit more country feel. Honestly, the color for shading white is slate gray, or any kind of gray, really, a lighter gray. That just kind of doesn't go with the look that I'm going. So I just like to do the Antique White, and I just kind of walk my float out a little bit to expand that shading. And here I'm using an angle brush because it's a smaller area. I'm using hardly any paint. That's all that I'm using. And I'm just taking it over to my paper palette and just really blending it good. And sometimes you can blend too much or not blend enough. If that's the case, just go back and get a little bit more paint. Like that, I didn't have enough paint on. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. Just want that a little bit darker. Like I said, I'm walking the float, so I'm moving my shading line and making it wider. Just widening it. All right, let's go back and go around the other side of this. It should be dry enough. And I'm just gonna kind of curve around the edges because my edges of this is rounded. So to stay with the shape of this tailgate. I ended up getting a little bit too darker than what I wanted, but oh well. That's okay. I'm going to use Country Red to paint the stripes on the flag, and then also do the lettering. Country Red is one of my favorite colors that they make. It's usually what I choose 99% of the time if I'm going to use red. However, I did find another color that is pretty rustic, a rustic red. I think it's called Heritage Brick. So if I was doing something really, really rustic and wanted red, I would choose that color because it's really a nice color and it gives you that rustic feel. But my go-to color is the Country Red. Sometimes red, I don't care what color of red it is, requires a couple coats, sometimes even 3. That's one of these other colors that are tough to get a good base coat. So don't be discouraged, you know, it just happens. Something I like to do, but I won't do it on such a small area like this, but I like to put a shade of green down before I put the red on. That helps with coverage. I don't know why that works out like that, but it just, it goes together. It really helps. I mean, I just put a base coat of green on. I don't sit there and try and get it really solid. But it just really helps. Went over my line. I like to use Q-tips when I have an oops moment. Just works for me. I use Q-tips to apply my glue onto small areas. I keep a container of Q-tips on my table at all times. I just dip it in some clean water and wipe. On this particular stripe, I had a little bit too much water in my paint throughout painting it, so I'm definitely going to have to go back. But you have to have water to help move your paint around. It's just a must. It just makes the paint flow easier off your brush. You can move it around. But also you can get too much water. That's my downfall. I always put too much water. I don't understand why that's so dark when I have overhead lights. It has to be something doing with the sun hitting the blinds and casting a really dark shadow. Because I'm really able to see what I'm painting, but it's not really reflecting that on the screen. So I might have to rethink about what time of day I come on. Not come on so early in the morning. Because the sun is definitely in front of me right now. And that's probably another reason why my room is hotter than normal. I don't even know what time it is. Alexa, what time is it?
Good morning, Cindy. It's 9:39 a.m.
9:39. Well, probably another hour and it'll be around the corner of the house. All right. Before I do that, let me shade again. Yeah, because this paint is just gooping up. Becoming like pudding. It's just so hot in here. And I'm off camera on this side. Sorry. When you zoom in, it kind of limits your workspace. But I'm doing that so you folks just have a better view of what I'm doing. All right, I'm just going to take this country red and do these letters. I might do a little highlighting on them at the top. Just to brighten them up a little bit. I don't know. The color I like to use is Neon Fiery Red. It's one of DecoArt's neon colors. And it can be very, very bright. I think it might need a little something, whether it be highlighting. I don't know if I want to do shading, because I shade with Black Plum, and that kind of would take away from the red, because it's really a dark color. So I pretty much want this to stay red. Let's go ahead and shade this flag. Like I said, you want to be careful because this is a dark color. And you really have to blend it. That's actually probably too much paint, but you can probably hardly see that, and that's okay, because I definitely like to build this particular color up. Because it can go on really, really dark. And see, now there is a little bit darker than what I would have liked. And I did get it in my white area. I'll wait for that to dry and probably go over it a little bit more just to darken it up. Except for that one right there, that's a little bit darker than what I really wanted. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty good. I think this one side just needs a little bit more shading. And whether I'm shading or highlighting, I'm just barely touching the surface. I apply it with a very light touch. Even when I'm just painting, period. That was a little bit darker than what I wanted. Oh well. All right, let's see where we are. I could use hit in a few areas. Go ahead and highlight. I'm just going to highlight the top and bottom red stripe of this flag. I'm just going to put very minimal. Because as you can see, that's a pretty bright color. So. And this color has a tendency to fade, so I just want a little brightness. And I'll probably do this on the tops of my letters. I hope that fades, because that's a lot brighter than what I wanted. Ay, ay, ay. Probably good enough. One side just needs a little bit more gray. And after I highlight these letters, it's time for me to empty my water, because it's pretty bad. All right. I'm just going to apply just a little bit of highlighting. At the tops of these letters. Just to brighten them up a little bit. I want it to be very minimal. Too much water. Just wanted to brighten up the letter just a little bit, the wording. But I don't want it to be too much. And that's too much. So I'm just taking a damp brush and kind of going over it to water it down a little bit. And here's the thing, because it is a little bit brighter than what I wanted. It's fixable. I'm just going to take some country red. Go back over it. Very watered down. And what it'll do, it will add more red on to that. But it will still that highlighting will still show through. It just will be a little bit muted. So. So everything's fixable. Don't get too worried if you put too much shading or highlighting. I think highlighting's easier to fix than shading. But see, that just kind of muted it. And it's give me the look that I want. Hopefully you can see that. So it muted it a little bit. So it's not too bright. So just, you know, keep that in mind. Don't, you know, panic if you have too much shading or highlighting. All you have to do is take the base color, excuse me, and just water it down and then float it on top. And you might have to do it a couple times to get it to your liking, but it's fixable.
I'm going to drive over to Minerva and find that IGA. I got it delivered there Tuesday.
All right.
I want to find out where I got it.
All right. All right. Go ahead and paint this blue. And then, like I said, I'm going to do blue stars. Got too much paint on my paintbrush. We're about done with this. I definitely have to rinse out my water because it's not good. And I just had some various sizes of blue stars. And I actually have a bunch of stars on my table as we speak. So I might even paint like some red of various sizes. I'll just have to see once I get everything on there where I want things, how many stars I want to put on because I don't want to clutter it. That looks like pretty good coverage. Let's get this corner a little bit better. Okay. All right, I need to empty my water, so I'm going to take a quick break and I will be back shortly. I hope you stick around. Okay, I'm back. Clean water and all. So I'm gonna go ahead and shade around this blue. The color I'm gonna use is French Gray Blue. I'm just gonna shade on the outside edge. Highlight, I apologize. I'm gonna highlight on the outside edge, and then I'll come back and shade with a deep midnight blue. I'm gonna use a bigger brush this time. Just to add a little lightness on there. And let's see. I know I'm gonna shade my stars. I don't like highlighting them. This tape is very sticky, so if you use one of these things to hold down your pieces, be careful trying to remove it, or you will bust them. But I kind of just want to get an idea of what I want. I might need to do like a smaller star. Probably ought to think about a smaller star. I think this one's smaller. Like I said, I don't want it too cluttered. Probably need to go smaller than that. Something on the lines of that, maybe. I think that's probably a good choice. So, I'll go ahead and paint this. Need just a little bit more blue out. And I didn't put any score marks on this for the stars, because you might not want them on there. That way you don't have to have them. So, you know, that has to be your personal preference. So... see how that highlighting went. I think I'll put just a little bit more on, just to lighten it up just a titch. And I have a tendency, and this is just me, to make it wider in the corner. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I might as well glue this on. And I am going to apply it with a Q-tip. And you don't have to put glue on every spot of this, the lettering. You know, just, I'm just going to apply them to the, whoa, that's too much glue, thicker part. And just make sure when you're putting this lettering on, first off, you know, this stuff sticks really fast. It's called stick fast for a reason. Just make sure you have your score marks covered up. And you got it where you want it, because it dries fast. You're locked in. All right, I'm gonna shade on this. Glue the star on, and then we're good to go. I am gonna shade some of those stars though. I'm just gonna shade around like to the bottom, like just two of the points. And when I go to put it on, I'll make sure those are towards the bottom. And this might take a couple coats. And you have to decide how far up you want your shading to go. I mean, the shading is very minimal. I might go back over it just one more time. That's probably good enough. Let that dry, glue the star on, be done. I want that a little bit darker, just a little bit. Just to add a different shade of blue. I'm going to go over this one side just a little bit more. Okay. Get this star glued on. I believe it's this star. Here. Like I said, I make my score lines significantly smaller. I mean, that actually might be, too much. I mean, you can get too much clutter. can get too much clutter. But you gotta make up your mind, because once it's glued, it's glued. Yeah, they make tools out there that you can remove them, but that's just not my thing. I don't know. Sometimes you can get just too much. I actually think that star is too big for that area. So let's paint another star. I'm fussy, I can't help it. I don't sell my finished products, but I'm starting to accumulate a lot, so I might consider it because I've just got too many. So if you were to purchase a painted project of mine, what I can tell you is you're going to get a project that had a lot of time spent painting it. I'm fussy. That's too big. I am fussy. I just can't in good conscience just slap something together. It's just not who I am. I actually have a star here that was white, so I'm just going to paint over that. But it might take a couple coats. I can definitely see the white coming through. These stars almost look the same size. It's hard to tell because I cut out a variety size of stars between this and the other thing I did. So I guess I could, while that's drying, do this. Like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot of glue. I think that's just going to have to be good enough. And that's that. Somehow I did get a scratch mark. But fixable. All right, let me put these stars back, clear off my area, and I'll show you how to attach these. It's pretty simple. And then we're done. I get these dots off of Amazon. I don't have one of those, what are they called, link trees or whatever or something. to Amazon. I don't have that. Don't know if I'll do something like that. I forget what size these are, but I got a few sheets of these. So what I'm gonna do, the best way to attach these is, I've already have some down and I kind of run them opposite. So these are the, the loops. So what I want to do is take opposite of that and just stick them down on top of these where they're already at, okay? Wheel. So, just take whatever you have, stick it down on top of that, opposite. So the sticky side is up, okay? I'm gonna pull this a little bit closer to me so I can really get a good view. And then what you wanna do is figure out where you're placing your tailgate. Okay, get it lined up to where you want it, get it straight, and then just press down on it, okay? And what's gonna happen is that will adhere to it. Now you wanna do the same thing for your license plate. Just take opposite of what's already down on the truck and put that with the sticky side up. Then our flag is our license plates, and you want to just get that centered, get it where it needs to be, press down on it, good to go. We'll take our insert, put it in there. And there it is. There's our truck. I need to move my camera up more. Hopefully you can see better. Let me see. No, still not. How about that? I don't do the whole duo cameras and all that other stuff. That's just not who I am. Maybe later on down the road, but that's not who I am. So, but I think that gives you a general idea what the overall finished project looks like, and it's adorable, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's very Americana. Like I said, you can use it for the 4th of July. You can, if you have Americana decor in your home, this is perfect. You can leave it up all year round. It's not tying you into the 4th of July. I don't, yeah, we got the fireworks, but you can light fireworks any time of the year. Trust me, down in Florida, they lit them all the time. There was never a shortage of fireworks. You could find them on every street corner. So, like I said, this can be left out all year round, and it's very American. It's very patriotic, and I absolutely love this. I really love it. I love how it turned out. So I'm quite pleased. And painting this truck white with the intent of doing this, I just knew it would pop off of it. So I'm really pleased. So with that being said, this project is done. I want to thank you. I'm going to try and I'm working working on my new design. Hopefully I get it finished that where I can start painting that next week. If not, I've had a lot of requests for people asking about my Spook Troop insert. So I might, if I don't get this other one done, I might just go ahead and do that. I'm not for sure. So with that being said, I want to thank you once again for joining me. You folks have a wonderful day. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.